When thousands of soldiers landed in Gallipoli under heavy fire in 1915, they were probably too scared to feel brave. But more than 90 years later, we commemorate the courage of the Anzacs every April. Here lies the remains of an unnamed New Zealand warrior from World War I. We'll never know his history, but fortunately, not every soldier's story is lost forever. This is the diary of Captain E.P. Cox, a member of the Wellington Infantry Battalion, which landed on the Gallipoli Peninsula in 1915. Cox's diary came in two parts.
The sheets were perforated and they were meant to be taken out of the book, possibly one to send home and one to keep as a record for the soldier.
What insights do the diaries give us? Do they tell us what it was like being there at war?
I think it does, but Cox talks about the weather a lot, and I think we have to remember that there was a lot of censorship, and also because he was an officer, perhaps he wasn't permitted to divulge too much. He does write on several occasions that the men are looking forward to battle, that spirits are high, that they're looking to the future with great gusto.
Sunday, April 25th, 1915. Sound of big guns firing can be heard from Dardanelles about 40 miles away, so some other troops must be in action. It is a most glorious morning and perfectly calm at sea. Everyone on board is in high spirits and eagerly awaits coming events.
So it must have been pretty horrific once they arrived at Gallipoli and once the fighting really started.
Most definitely. Cox does talk about the number of wounded and dead. You know, it must have been a most awful situation. I mean, at times they were only yards away from the enemy's trenches.
A Turkish officer came in under a flag of truce yesterday to us and negotiated for a 9 hours armistice in order to bury their dead, which are very numerous. We are willing, as we wish to have the situation cleared up, for the breezes coming through our trenches from the front are laden. Well, not with lavender.
So is the diary all serious, or are there lighter moments?
He did seem to have a very artistic eye. He remarks that it would be a picnic in New Zealand because of the surroundings were so ideal, that if he was in New Zealand, it would be a beautiful place to recreate.
But for the stress of battle in front and an occasional shell in our lines, we might be on a picnic in New Zealand. The surroundings are so agreeable.
Another thing he wrote about, that when he returned to his bunkers, another soldier had almost burnt his tent down.
On return to camp about 7 p.m, found that my tent had been on fire and contents narrowly escaped destruction, evidently caused by the eternal cigarette smoked by my tent mate. Moral: don't smoke.
In early May of 1915, a fierce battle for Channock-Bear Ridge wiped out most of the Captain's Wellington Battalion. It brought an end to Cox's diary, but luckily not his life. He returned home wounded with plenty of stories to tell.